Is that on? Is that on? Ah, that's on. Hey there, Crazy Jack here, folks, and today I'm going to tell you about this. Hi, folks, Crazy Jack, aka Martin Harvey. Yes, I'm not really crazy. I'm not really called Jack. That's just my trading name for when I'm selling my Crazy Jack pallet wood, 100% guaranteed genuine pallet wood amplifiers. And here's another one. Just finished this one. This one's going off to a customer called Steve in the next couple of days. 9-volt battery powered amplifiers. Everybody loves them. They're lovely, gorgeous, recycled pallet wood there. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. Today, for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll notice I'm usually a Telecaster kind of guy. Here's a little Squire butterscotchy telly sort of thing. That's what I usually play. Got a couple of old rustic Fenders over there too, but anyway, I couldn't resist making an atypical video, and this is going to be part one in a series of videos featuring this. Yes, for all you Vox fans out there, I know you're going to be really excited by this series. Now, basically, before I go any further, please like, subscribe, and I'm going to put an email address here as well, where you can find out more about my work. Now, the email address is for a different website at the moment. I'll explain more about that in a minute. But anyway, so here's the website. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be notified as soon as I bring out a new episode of each of these videos. Now, let's cut to the chase. Basically, I picked up this beautiful thing. Yes, it's a Vox Duotone. Or is it? It could be an Ace. Now, from what I've read on the Vox forums and so on, these things were all being knocked out by the same factory, Jennings Musical Industries in Dartford in Kent. Basically, they also licensed the design to other guitar brands as well. So they're all coming out of the same factory, and basically one sort of guitar seemed to morph into another. So I'll go into more detail in another sort of historical video on that somewhere else. But basically, excuse me a second, hold on. Yeah, Dartford, Jennings Musical Industries in Dartford in Kent. And basically, because all these instruments were coming out of the same factory and had sort of lots of common parts and so on, one instrument seemed to sort of morph into another. So in some places, this is actually labelled as a duotone. But those familiar with the Ace will also recognise this as well. Now, I picked this up in a council recycling centre, and they have a little shop adjoining that, in which they sell bits and pieces. And I saw this then, I thought, wow, that looks interesting. And at first glance, compared to the build quality of modern, Fender Squires and all that sort of business, you think, oh, there's a lot to be desired here, and there's a lot of work in it. But I picked this thing up for, let's say, a small amount of money. Okay, so, and I've had it sitting around in my office studio for about 2 years now, meaning to do something with it. Now, I'm really, really busy because my main day job is I'm an author, illustrator. Yeah, and this is the latest book I'm working on. It's called Squiggly Pete and the Curse of the Monster Zombie Mushy Peas. It's all about what happens when a pirate who loves fish and chips turns up in Parkgate in Cheshire, and they've got a massive monster mushy pea machine which goes mad, and there's mushy peas everywhere. Anyway, that's what I do for a day job, and I'm desperately trying to get this finished in time for Christmas. So that's why I haven't had much time to do this for the last couple of years. That has been a massive project. But in the new year, I'm going to be putting out a series of videos covering this. Now, there's a lot of work to be done, and my aim with this is to bring it back to its former glory. As you can see, there's quite a bit of work to do on this, okay? And I think what I'm going to do, because I've done a couple of restorations, I've been playing guitar for about 45 years or something, and I was a fiddle player before that. So I've had hundreds of guitars over the years. I've done a couple of restorations. I wouldn't call myself a master luthier, but I've pretty much done everything you need to do with electric solid body guitars anyway. And I know how much work is involved in these things. For example, I'm going to take you on a walkthrough of this in a second, okay? And we'll examine everything in detail. But just for now, I mean, look at the machine heads. Oh, they seem sort of okay. There's one wonky one here. The button is a tiny bit loose. So I'm going to have to do a bit of work on that. Probably just super glue it in there or something just to make it firm. But I'll have to research that, you see, because I'm not sure whether or not I should do that. And maybe, in fact, this is one of the things I'd love to happen with this this series, is for you guys to get involved. You know, you Vox fans, to get involved and you know, pop your comments down below, and let me know how I'm getting on. Or if you think I'm doing something wrong, please tell me. Or if you think you could do it, you know a better way of doing it, then please tell me. Because as I said, I'm a Telecaster guy really. Although I'm getting to like this little thing more and more. But although I'm a Telecaster guy, really, you know, I know there's thousands of you who absolutely adore these Vox instruments. And basically this sort of series of videos is kind of like a gift to that community. And I hope you can enjoy it. Now, at a glance, I think there's going to be at least a dozen videos. I'll try and keep them short. Some might be, say, 15 minutes, some might be 10 minutes. But for example, look at the nut. Okay, there's going to be at least an hour's video on that. And this is, as you guitarists will know, that's one of the most crucial parts of the guitar. Similarly, the bridge. I mean, that's a bit of a mess, isn't it? So that's going to be an hour's video talking about how to restore that. There's things like these volume tone knobs here. You know, I mean, I need to get hold of, you know, hopefully original ones of that. And then, of course, the input output socket here. Now, that's obviously a modern sort of general purpose, looks like a stereo thing, which is someone's put onto a little metal plate. The question is that metal plate original? I've seen some metal plates similar to that on these things, but I've also seen, I don't know what the cable type is like. It's like an XLR microphone cable, a big you know, round socket there. So, you know, there's an hour's video about that as well. And then, of course, there's the physical stroke cosmetic things like gluing back the veneers and so on, and the purfling, binding, whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, the electronics. So, buckle up, folks. Get yourself a nice big hot cup of tea or something, and join me in this little journey. It's going to be fun. Okay, as I said, please like and subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. As you can see, I've got a massive amount of subscribers at the moment. I think I'm up to 23. So by the end of this series, I'm hoping to at least hit 30 or so. Okay, thanks for watching, folks. Right, on to the walkthrough. Okay, folks, so this is the longer part of this video. Now, I'll try and work out and do sort of timestamp things so that if you want to skip straight to one section or the other, you can do that. I'm not great with YouTube videos, but we'll see. Anyway, I said I'd walk this through top to bottom and back. So here we go. Right, let's start with the headstock. Huge sweeping headstock here that is, you know, synonymous with the Duotone and Ace guitars. And these, you know, I'm going to have to put up a detailed video on sort of the history and all the facts properly. I've done some research on this, so I'm just sort of spouting off what I know from the top of my head. But I'll put up a proper historical bit of research on this when it's done. From my reading, which primarily comes from, thank you very much, the Vox Vintage Vox Guitar Facebook group. Thank you everyone there, and Martin Kelly especially because of the expertise shown there. But from what I understand, this is a Vox Duotone which morphed into the Vox Ace, and that happened between 1960, 61 and 63. From my reading, I think this guitar is about 1961, which makes it 2 years older than me. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really quite fond of this, because this came into being about the same time that I did. I remember my mum and dad enjoying pop music records from the time, some pretty old numbers, and that's how I got into music myself. My mum used to play sort of country stuff and a bit of the UK pop charts and things like that, and I sort of grew up hearing "Can't Get No Satisfaction" in the background and so on. So I come from a sort of slightly musical family. Anyway, right, I digress. So, headstock. Sweeping headstock here, and I thought to myself, yeah, it's a bit of unusual design. It's sort of a bit way out there, but then all the Vox guitars are, aren't they? I myself prefer the sort of tighter, neater Telecaster headstock. I'm not even keen on the Stratocasters. They're a bit sort of like wild for me, but I like something simple like this. And I was thinking, why is the Vox headstock the shape it is? And then in sort of looking at this in detail last night, I sort of came to the conclusion it's because of the tuners. Can you see that? The mounting plates or the base plates for these tuners are all pretty wide. My guess is that rather than get these things manufactured from scratch, which is an expensive sort of business, to set up any sort of tooling, from what I understand, set up any sort of tooling is hugely expensive. It's far better to sort of source parts that are readily available and use those. And these plates are, as you can see, quite long. And if they're butted up together, as they are like this, you get that distance. Okay? So that, I think the reason that headstock is the shape it is for that very reason. That's the sort of style. Or maybe they had them manufactured. I don't know. I'm speculating. If you know better, please pop it in the comments. I'd be really interested to find out. Okay, so there's the headstock, and this one's in pretty good condition, really. It's not much knocked about on that at all. Oh, a little bit of sunshine there. Now, I don't know whether this is going to come out in the video. But there's the decal. It's obviously, well, I'm pretty sure it's 100% genuine. You can see the outline on it there. And I'm sort of a bit obsessive about these things because in checking out the fenders and things that I buy, I'm always trying to sort of spot a fake. But maybe that's just the way they did it in those days. Anyway, right. So that's the headstock. Next, the nut. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's not original, and if it is, it's a pretty poor piece of manufacturing. But I've seen others where they have like a 3-color white, black, white striped nut. Which is much more in keeping with the sort of aesthetics of the day. I'm pretty sure that, I'm 100% sure this one someone's put together from a piece of handy acrylic material that's hanging around, shaped it pretty roughly, and said, "Oh, that'll do." I mean, it's pretty bad. Having made a few nuts myself, I'm pretty. I'd say fairly knowledgeable about that, I think. Yes, here's one over here. This is a 1998 Telecaster, and there's one of my vintage, my relict bridges on there. This isn't the original bridge, but as you can see, this looks like a bit of a used machine. I like this. It was almost pristine when I bought it. And I've rubbed it down a bit and done some things, and so on. It was also stuck in a lockup for a couple of years, and when I got it back, it was all mouldy and moisture had got under the lacquer in the headstock here, so I had to repair that without losing the original decal. Now there's the original decal. Anyway, so that's what I was going to say about the nut. You see, that's one I made for this guitar, and as you can see, it's pretty neat and tidy and well refined, and that's the way I like nuts to be. However, in this one, I've got a big blob of plastic, right? So now the question is, do I keep this because this is the original thing as I found it, or do I put a proper nut on there, or do I just reshape this one to get rid of that hideous sort of turret like bridge thing there, or I mean, the string spacing, as you can see, the string spacing is a bit random. Well, it's not random, it's pretty good actually, but it's not precise. So my feeling is I'd rather make a proper bone nut there, or maybe get hold of some of that white material and make a replica of one of the originals. If you've got any photos of anything that could help out this project, please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to see that. That'd be useful. Right, on to the neck. Now, for something that's been around for 60 odd years, that's not bad. Okay, I've seen a lot worse than that from cheaper guitars, even good guitars that have sort of become separated. I don't think this fingerboard has been off. I think that's as it was originally glued in place, because the lacquer at the sides looks original for most of its length. There are places, I think it's over here, where there's quite a gap. It looks like something separated, but that could be something like a knock to the headstock here, bang, which could cause cracks and things down here. But I'm pretty sure that's the original fingerboard, and that it's you know, where it was in the first place. There's a bit of a deep, let's see if we can get a better picture of that. It's a bit of a deep gouge in there, where I think it's become separated again for a different reason. But anyway, there it is. Now, the frets, there's going to have to be quite a bit of work on the frets. And this is another area that I'm hoping you'll chip in and sort of discuss with me, because I'm pretty sure these are the original frets. And whilst there is some meat or metal left on them, here we go, right down to the bottom. While there is some metal left on them, and I could probably just say crown them and polish them, and you'd be able to play this. My aim is to turn this into a proper playable instrument that, you know, a musician such as maybe you know, a not Shadows, I don't know, some band who used to play lots of Voxes, you guys will know, you know, could happily take out on the road and play every night professionally with this. So I think for that reason I'm going to refret this. Now, I know some of you will go, no, leave it as it is. But we'll see as the project goes. I mean, I'm happy to sort of take suggestions and advice from you guys. That's what this project's all about. But I'll just let you know, don't know whether you'll be able to see it here, but these frets have pretty nasty, let's see if we can get it to focus. I don't know, I might have to take some photos and upload those instead. But they have, well, pretty sharp ends right the way from down here all the way right up to here. I think that one's slightly smoother. I might have, yeah, I think I might have just filed those couple of frets when I first bought it. Okay, so basically looking at a refret job, or at very least the crowning and polishing and filing down those fret ends. So that's a decision to be made later on. Now, just in passing, I must mention this is exactly how I bought it. I haven't done anything with this at all, so you're going to be here for the whole journey. I found this in this council recycling centre shop where they sell bits of stuff that's too good to completely crush and throw away or recycle. So what you're seeing here is the whole thing exactly as it was, including the 3 strings that were on it. Okay, right. So there's the neck. Now the neck is also pretty straight, which is good. I've read somewhere that these are reinforced with either 1 or 2 metal strips, bars or whatever you'd call them, down the inside the neck. It doesn't have a truss rod. There's no truss rod opening at either end. So that's the neck, and to be honest, it's not a bad neck. You know, I've come into contact with some early electric guitars, and you think, oh god, you just couldn't play that. Why would anyone, but they did. But this is actually really pretty nice neck. There's not a lot of difference between that and a lot of the Squires and Fenders that I've got. Okay, right, so, and there's the back of the neck. I think you'd probably call that a modern C shape, to be honest. It's obviously thicker up here than it is down here, but altogether that's going to be a playable little neck. Right, the neck joint. Now here's one of the first problems. Don't know whether you can see in there, but there's a bit of a step. Now so between the neck pocket and the neck, the base of the neck joint itself. Now I have seen somewhere a photograph of another one which looks exactly the same, but my feeling is that that's not standard. Maybe someone can chip in and tell me. Don't know if Martin Kelly could advise me on this, but there's the neck joint. I'm pretty sure that someone's taken off some of the wood from this part, the back of the neck, to make it lie lower in the pocket. I think that pocket hasn't been disturbed. I think that looks original. So why would they do that? Why would someone do that? Well, some people might want to do that to get a nice low playing action, and I think that's the nature of the thing. I can actually play this as it is right now. You know, just straight off the shelf. It's not a bad action there, but that is a result of the saddles being extremely low. Now this has been knocked around here and there everywhere, and I'm pretty sure those saddles were much higher at some point, but as I found them, they're very low, which does give you a playable action. But I think that needs to be fixed. So I had to think about this yesterday, and I think one of the things I'm going to do is to reinstall a sort of shim or a sliver of wood, hopefully to match this. I might even be able to lacquer it to match that pretty well as well, and then we're back to the sort of original condition. Of course, that's going to raise the neck and hence the fingerboard a couple of millimeters this way, which will make the action higher, but that's not a problem because we can raise these saddles up so that we get a better playing angle action altogether. So that's a pretty big job. That might even be 2 hour-long videos or something, depending on how I edit them. Okay, so that's one of the things I'm planning there. It's, you know, it's not bad. I mean, the neck does tilt up a bit from the body, a tiny bit, but you know, I've seen worse things in you know, commercially made, you know, cheap end guitars. But I think that's what I'm going to do there. Now, also, as you can see, there's quite a bit of a gap around the edges of that neck pocket, but I'm pretty sure that's the original neck, and I'm pretty sure, you know, it's just the wood has shrunk over the years. I might be wrong. And the purfling, as we call it in violin world, or binding, as we say in guitar world, that's another sort of issue here. Now, in this spot here, as you can see, it's separated from the body, and that's a tricky one because if I force it in and glue it down, I know pretty much that's going to break. I might be able to detach it from here, glue it all down, and then be a couple of millimeters short there. So I'll have a think about that and see. And you know, that's going to be a video in itself, isn't it? That part. And the same for this end as well. The bindings become separated here, so that's going to need some modification. And of course, we've got this massive wing of the veneer, which has just, you know, become unglued and peeled away on a little bit on the back, mainly on the front here. And of course, as you'll all guess straight away, that's probably because of the sweat moisture coming from the player's arm, wrist, forearm, constantly here. And we see this in a lot of guitars, don't we? Relics and things like that. That's a place where it's going to get worn because of the constant, you know, friction there. So in this case, the sweat, moisture and stuff has seeped into the wood, become unglued, and that's peeled away. So that should be pretty easy to stick down. I say that, but very often you find sort of other problems as you know, as you go along. But anyway, so we're going to stick that down and sort of readjust the binding to try to make a good join all around there. This side down here, similar sort of wear. Now I don't know why that would be like that. You know, this end of the guitar often gets a lot of knocks and stuff. It's put down on the floor in between songs. You know, it's leant against furniture. You know, leant against furniture, and this is on the floor. So this end is often beat up on guitars. So, but anyway, so where were we? Working down from the neck pocket. On the back, we've got standard plate there. Doesn't really say anything. A few scratches. Another point I'll just mention in passing: slotted screws. As I understand it, Phillips head screws weren't invented till I think it's sort of 48 or something, 50s or so, but they weren't in sort of general usage. So this being a late 50s, early 60s guitar, it's got slotted screws throughout, and I'm not joking. They are everywhere. Now these days, I prefer, of course, to use Phillips heads, not Posi-Drive, Phillips heads screws, because it's more reliable when you're screwing something into a guitar. The slotted screws, you can be screwing something in, whoops, slip out the side, and you've made a mess of your guitar. So I'm going to have to be careful there. But interestingly, even here on the headstock, as you can see, slotted screws throughout. I think there are one or two, there's one there, which are Phillips heads, so that's obviously been replaced later. But apart from that, everything on this guitar is a slotted screw, even in there. Okay, we're missing the strap button at the other end here, but you know, that's easy enough to fix. Okay, so that's the wood, and of course on the back we've got this lovely bird's eye maple, and that's a veneer, top and bottom, similar sort of stuff, and looks like 2 pieces of wood for the solid body. Now we'll find out more about that when I take the front off and we have a look inside. But for now, let's have a look at the pickups. Now, I've seen commonly you'll have the Vox branding on these, but I've also seen plenty of these about, and apparently that's just standard. Some were branded, some weren't. The Vox here is embossed into the plastic. I don't know whether you can see that there. So it's not just screen printed on, that's actually embossed into the acrylic or whatever it is here. What do they call it? I forgot the name for it now. Sort of semi-opaque tortoiseshell type. It's not actually tortoiseshell, but it's that sort of thing, semi-translucent. You can sort of see through it there a bit and see the actual channels for the electronics. Okay, to the bridge. Right. Now, if you can see down here, there's marks of something else that, you know, there was a cover originally on there. I think in some of the models, the way you distinguish is one of them's got 1 pickup, another one's got 2 pickups, and I think, if you don't mind me borrowing the photo from the Facebook group, Martin, I'll pop it in here, and you can see the 3 models of this thing side by side. There we go. And as you can see, one has a single pickup, one has 2 pickups, and one has a whammy bar. I don't think this had a whammy bar, but there are holes on the side of the base plate there, which suggests something would have rotated on there. But of course the insides don't look like a whammy anything at all. But I'll be taking that off and having a look underneath. There's a tiny hole, not a tiny hole, but there's a fairly big hole there. I think that was for an earth wire. I might be wrong, tell me if I am. And I've seen other models where the top's been removed, the bridge has been removed, and there's another big hole there, something to do with the whammy bar. Anyway, so, and that's a bit of a mess. It's sort of all corroded up. I might be able to free those grub screws, I might not, I'm not sure. But, you know, we might have to just replace those altogether, I'm not sure. But I'll certainly be keeping the base plate of the bridge as it is. Right, so that's the front. Now, this acrylic plate, as you can see, translucent. And look, electrics. Let's see if it works, shall we? Oop, my cable's trapped there. So we'll plug this in here. There we go, and plug the other end into a nice little Crazy Jack pallet wood amplifier. Turn it on. Hey, we have a twang. Okay, so basically the electronics are working, and sorry, that's the tone, wasn't it? There's the volume. Okay, whoops. Right, so basically the electronics are working, and that's promising. I think when I first bought it, I tested this and found that both pickups are actually working. Hang on, let's adjust that a minute. Let's bring that down here. Both pickups are actually working, because I could switch between them. Now, in the meantime, something's failed inside this switch, and now it's sort of stuck in that position. Not a problem. I'm sure we can find something very, very similar to replace that. And I'm also going to be looking for some of these cupcake type knobs to replace these up here. I might even just leave that one as is, and get a nice shiny one there. We'll see. Okay, I think I'm going to do another video where I open this up and take a look inside. So that's probably going to be the next part. So if you want to see what's inside this thing, I'll put up one of these card things here, there or somewhere. In the meantime, please subscribe, hit like if you've enjoyed this. I know I ramble on a bit, but hopefully you're getting a feel for this guitar and you want to see how this turns out. I certainly do. Okay, thanks for watching, folks. See you soon in part 2. Crazy Jack, over and out.